there was this Nova electronic music festival, which had been moved to that area something like 48 hours before. And, this is one of the more macabre aspects of Israeli society. I actually have a video online on YouTube that I filmed from a classical music concert that was held with the Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra on the Gaza border to basically blast Beethoven into Gaza. I have a chapter about it in Goliath as well, in order to basically confront the savages who were held in this gigantic open-air prison camp with the civilization of Israel and convince them to release Gilad Shalit. And Shalit's parents, who were dual French-Israeli citizens, were on stage at this concert. And I interviewed people there who had come from the kibbutz community in the southern envelope as well as Tel Aviv, and heard them refer to the Gaza people as animals and so forth. Of course, they weren't going to release Shalit unless there was a prisoner exchange, but I thought this is such a weird thing to do right on the border. And you could see like these teeming refugee camps of deeply impoverished people on the other side, and I'm watching Beethoven. Hamas commandos were confronted with all of these ravers, many of them on MDMA and other drugs. The Israeli military had Apache helicopters in the air, and the Apache helicopters were ordered to carry out the Hannibal directive, named for the Carthaginian general who took poison rather than be captured by the enemy. The purpose of this used to be a secret order. I wrote about in 2014 when it was first exposed. Israel killed Hadar Golden, who was taken captive by Al-Qassam militants when he was attacking in Rafah during a ceasefire on August 1st, 2014. That was the first time the Hannibal directive was openly exposed. The idea is you kill Israelis who are captured or about to be captured in order to deny leverage to the other side, because much more painful than killing your own people is actually negotiating for the release by releasing the so-called terrorists. And so a mass Hannibal was enacted according to Colonel Naf Erez. On the record, he said mass Hannibal. This meant Apache helicopters given orders to fire on pretty much everything that moved on the ground, especially vehicles heading towards Gaza. I was one of the first in English to report on this, quoting testimonies by Apache helicopter pilots in Israeli media who were saying, there was almost no intelligence to help make fateful decisions, that they emptied the belly of the helicopter in minutes and returned to the air again and again. And they didn't know if they were firing on so-called terrorists or Israeli civilians. One of them said, I choose targets just arbitrarily, where I tell myself that the chance that I'm shooting here on hostages as well is low. Well, it turned out it was much higher than they thought. Yediot Aronot reported months after I was viciously attacked in publications like Haaretz as an October 7th denier, that 74 vehicles were destroyed by Israeli Apache helicopters through the Hannibal directive. And Haaretz then also confirmed corroborated my reporting that the Hannibal directive was given and anything that was moving towards the Gaza border was a target. Free fire orders were given. If you look at the images, if you're watching this now, just Google, vehicles, Nova Electronic Music Festival. There is a pile of scorched cars that were totally torched. I mean, not just a pile, but it looks like a vast parking lot, like outside an NFL stadium on Sunday, except the cars are all burned and piled atop one another. Those were cars that were destroyed with Hellfire missiles and with cannons from Apache helicopters. They were not destroyed with the small arms that Hamas possesses. So we're talking about possibly hundreds of Israeli civilians who were killed in the mass Hannibal directive.